identify ang reactant sa product, ma'am.
Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome
Morning,
to
ma'am.
our Module 3, Lesson 3, Balancing Chemical Reaction. So what's new? Let's have indicate which type of chemical reaction is being represented by the following. For number one is
Double replacement.
double replacement reaction. For number 2,
Combination.
it's a combination reaction. Number 3,
Combustion.
combustion. Basta if you see oxygen gas in the
Reactant.
reactant, it means that it is a combustion reaction. Next, we have
Single replacement.
single replacement reaction. Number 5,
Double replacement.
double. It's a double
Sorry.
replacement reaction.
Ma'am, ang saan pag-identify ang reactants, ma'am? Kanirang nasa pika side.
Diba, in a chemical reaction, if we go back on the chemical equation, in writing a chemical equation, we have the reactant side before the arrow. After the arrow is the product side.
Okay.
So,
Katuro isulat na mo.
so all that is found
Dito.
before the arrow are all reactants. All that is found after the arrow is products.
Okay.
So, any question? Or yung clarification?
Let's
Let's go to types of, bakit types? Doon na tayo sa lesson 3. Lesson 3. So, balancing chemical reaction. Going back to the discussion on chemical reaction, the chemical reaction follows the natural law, which is the
Law of conservation.
law of the conservation of mass. So in the law of conservation of mass, it says that the mass of the reactants should be equal to the mass of the product. So in order to balance a chemical equation, it is important to understand the law of conservation of mass. The law of conservation of mass states that the mass of a closed system of substance will remain constant regardless of the process acting inside the system. Matter can change form but cannot be created nor destroyed. For any chemical equation in a closed system, the mass of the reactants must be equal to the mass of the product. In order to make sure that this is the case, the number of atoms of each element in the reactant must be equal to the number of atoms of those same element in the product. So say for example, we have here the iron. The iron interacts with sulfur. So forming ferrous sulfide. Ferrous sulfide or ferrous 2 sulfide. Nga nung nakabalakong 2 siya, kaya di ba si sulfur na ay 2 nga negative niya. In the end, wala naman siya subscript, so it means that it's the iron 2 react with sulfur. So, the mass of each atom of iron is 55.8, while the mass of each atom of sulfur is 32.1. Now, if we look into...
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning. If we look into the chemical reaction, there's only one. Di ba wala siya coefficient? So meaning, there's only one atom of iron that reacts to one atom of sulfur. That forms one atom, a combination of iron and sulfur. So, in the reactant side, one atom of iron plus 1 atom of sulfur, we have 55.8 plus 32.1. Kulang ni siya dot, diri na siya dot, dapat din ha. Kulang siya dot. Dapat. It's 87.9. In here, we have iron and sulfur. Isa raman, wala may subscript si ano, wala may subscript si iron. So, it's automatically 1. And wala po siya coefficient diri nga side. So, it's automatically 1 because we do not write 1. So, 1 lang siya. Wala tayong multiply diri. 1 iron plus 1 sulfur. Kaya po siya subscript diri. Wala pa coefficient diri. So, isa lang yun si sulfur. So, 55.8 plus 32.1 is 87.7. That is the total mass of one molecule of iron to sulfide. So if you look into the mass of the reactants, the total mass of the reactant and the total mass of the product, they are equal. So if we maintain the number of particles of each element in the reactant side, the same with the product side, their mass also is conserved. That is the idea behind the law of conservation of mass. That's why it's very important to balance the chemical equation. To calculate the mass of the molecules, we use the relative atomic masses of for iron. So asa na to ni makita ning ilahang mga mass dito sa inyong periodic table. Who has a periodic table? Agud. In this stage, dili pwedeng walay periodic table.
Ako na ako, ma'am.
Dapat
Adyo
na
ko
ay,
po.
sige, kuha ang periodic table. Kuha ang periodic table.
Kuhaon ang periodic table.
Yes, kuha ang periodic table.
Sige.
Nandun lang ko sa Google, ma'am.
Very
Ako,
good.
ma'am.
O sige, pwede po.
Ma'am.
Pwede mo mato sa Google. Okay. Now, in the periodic table, pangitaa asa ang nakabutag atomic weight or atomic mass.
Kilit.
Kanang kinaunhan. Kinaunhan.
Ba na
Atomic
sa
weight.
unahan, o ba na sa middle,
Right.
o ba na sa center.
At
So,
bang sa atomic number.
so depende sa type of periodic table nga inyong gigunitan. Now, in that periodic table, kana siya nga periodic table, di ba kung inyong lantawon, walay unit ang mass. Because there are two ways how to get that mass or asa na siya gamiton. Na atay gitawag atomic mass unit, napod tay grams per mole. So manang wala siya unit gibutan dira kay depende kung unsay ato ang gi-measure.
Pangita.
But in here, we will be measuring grams per mole. Pero diri sa tong example, diri sa to ang example here, we do not write the unit anymore. So, let's proceed on the different ways to balance chemical equation. The first way is through trial and error or the traditional balancing. Oh, now how do we do this? We write the equation using the correct symbols and formulas. List all the elements in the reaction below the equation. Count the number of each kind of atom on both sides. Write them on the proper side of each element listed below the equation. Then balance and then check. So, if after checking, wala gyapon siya ni balance, so we go back here. Now, let's have the first example. Hydrogen gas plus chlorine gas yields hydrochloric acid. So first we write the equation. Is the equation balanced?
No.
No. So we will use the trial and error. Step 2, we list all elements in the reaction below the equation. So the elements in this chemical reaction are only hydrogen and chlorine. Then count the number of each kind of atom on both sides. Write them on the proper side of each element listed below the equation. So there are two In the reactant side, before the arrow is the reactant side. So this is the reactant side, this is the product side. On the reactant side, we have how many hydrogens?
2.
We have
Dua.
2. There's a
Ay,
subscript
isa ra.
2.
Isa ra, ma'am.
There's a subscript 2. So it means there are 2 hydrogens. Kita mo sa subscript niya nga 2? Tara oh, 2. So this means there are 2 atoms of hydrogen in the molecule of hydrogen gas. Kana siya o kana kinsay galingin ana. So next, chlorine. How many chlorine are there in the reactant side?
1. Ay, 2.
1, 2. Naa siya subscript nga 2, meaning in the molecule of chlorine gas, there are 2 atoms. Now, how about on the product side? How many hydrogens are there?
Isa.
1. Kaya wala man siya subscript. How about chlorine?
1.
Siya.
1. So, looking into their number, balance ba sila?
Dili.
Dili. So, step 4, balance the equation. 1 element at a time. Again, 1 element at a time by writing the coefficient until the equation is balanced. The coefficient is usually the least common multiple of the number between the reactant and the product. So, say for example here, what is the least common multiple between 2 and 1?
2.
2. So, 2 is the least common multiple. So, dapat kaning 1 diri mahimo sad siya nga 2 aron ma-equal sila. So, aron ma-equal sila, magbutang taog
Ay, dira na.
magbutang taog 2. Mo ni siya gitawag na tog coefficient. So, magbutang tag 2 nga coefficient. Check. And step 5, check the number of the atoms on both sides of the equation if it's the same. If not, repeat step number 4. So, taon. So, we write 2 here. This 2 means i-multiply nato ning hydrochloric acid with
Wala na dira.
so,
To.
karon
Ma'am, murag samot naka-remember ko ni ma'am na discuss niyo mo atong grade 9 siguro.
yes.
Oh, wala ka din.
2, pilay subscript aning hydrogen?
Isa-isa.
Isa. So, 2 times
Sa
1.
katong refer sa kuan. 2.
So, 2. Kunya, kay tapad man pod ni hydrogen si chlorine. So, maapil pod si chlorine ug kaapektahan sa presence ni 2. So, 2 times 1 po dire is also 2. Now,
2.
is it balance?
Balance na.
Balance. So, dali na kayo mag-balance, no?
Yes.
Very simple. Okay, now let's have kani siya. Gusto ko
Ay,
kani siya
isulat-sulat mo ba eh?
atong isulat lagi. Siya isulat on the whiteboard. Let's go to the whiteboard. What is the equation? We have C. Uy, nang sapot ko pagka C. Uy, nang sapot na. Yeah. Kaya ko to.
I-copy, ma'am. I-copy.
Nga na naman. Tara. E. Uy, dako ra kayo.
I-copy na lang tong text, ma'am.
Ano nga si ma'am?
Ha? Letter C. Ajut lang ha. I will try to copy if pwede siya makopy. Hindi siya pwede makopy. Sorry.
Kasi ma'am. Nagklase ko.
Pwede matype ma'am. Matype siguro ma'am.
Di pa hawa. Magsulat-sulat na lang ko. So, C. And then,
C.
C C3, C3, 8, insay sunod nga letter. H. Pila ka book H? Nga na
Wala
ba?
may kabalo.
Asa man yung module?
Naman sa phone ng file man ma'am, dili man kuan.
Nasa
Ha?
Di isa ra man ang
Sir.
gigamit.
Agoy,
Cellphone ra man.
8. H8
File mamay.
plus O. Ay,
Plus
layo na
O2.
to.
Plus
Layo na
O2.
tong O. Plus
Plus
O.
O2. 2.
2.
Ayun. Arrow.
Gani
C.
ka.
Then H2O.
Ay, H2O na.
Ay, unsa? O, lagi. Lagi, ma'am. H2O, ma'am. Di ka na example number 2, ma'am.
Oh.
Oh,
H.
H2O.
2. Uy. Ang sa malaki po. Dari kita malangay na. 2. O. Plus.
Plus
C.
CO2.
O.
Okay.
2. Okay. So that is step number 1. Step number 2 is to list all the chemical elements down. So we have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Nabay wala na to na lista?
Wala na.
Naay wala na to na lista?
Ano talaga, ma'am?
Wala.
Okay.
Ano
So,
talaga, ma'am?
now, step number 3, we count the number of atoms on the reactant side and on the product side. How many carbon atoms are there in the reactant side?
3.
3.
3.
How about on the product side?
1.
Sa.
1. How about hydrogen? How many
Man,
hydrogens are there in
8
the
siya.
reactant?
8 ma'am.
8. On the product side,
2.
Duha.
2.
oxygen here,
Duha.
2.
duha. In here,
Tulo.
tulo.
3.
Isa sa H2O, duha sa carbon
Carbon
dioxide. Ay, tulo. Ano, duha?
Tama.
Tulo. Ano, butter?
Hello.
Okay. Now, is our equation balanced?
Dili.
No.
No.
Di ba one element at a
Ragayo.
time? So, unahon na to si carbon. Now, what is the least common multiple between 3 and 1?
1. 3.
3. So, kani siya? 3 naman siya daan. So, sakto na siya. So, kinsa itong i-adjust? Kaning
Say
na ay 1.
1.
So, dapat mag 3 siya. So, aron na 3 ning 1, unsa itong buhaton?
Itangan
Three.
screening sa CO2, ma'am.
Butang
Thank
na
Equal sa
3
C, ma'am.
diari.
Kanama.
So, pag butang na to 3, automatically, si carbon nahimo na siyang
3.
3.
Balance.
Balance na siya. Pero
Balance na si
kauban man ni
carbon.
carbon
Ang
si
oma.
oxygen.
2.
So, si oxygen,
Oh.
3 times 2 nahimo
6.
6 plus 1.
7.
Butangan.
So, nahimo siyang 7.
7.
Di nasamot siya, dili ka balance. So, dili sa
I-adjust
ta,
ang
kaning
Basic.
oxygen, kung imo makita siya din diri, ug diri food, halos tanan compound na oxygen. So, dili sa nato siya hilabtan. Siya last natong hilabtan. Nasabtan, ang element nga ato makita halos sa kasagaran,
Dira.
i-last nato siya. So, okay na si carbon, di ba? Kinsay sunod di carbon?
Si hydrogen.
Si hydrogen. Now, is hydrogen balanced?
Dili.
No.
No.
8 and 2.
No.
Now, what is the least common multiple between 8 and 2?
8.
Kani siya kay 8 naman, dili na nato hilabtan. So, dili na nato hilabtan si reactant side. Dili ta ni product side kay wala siya na
Balance.
balance. So, kaning 2, aron mahimo siyang 4, Ay, may mo siyang 8. Saan na to siya?
4.
Times of 4.
Multiply
Times
of 4.
4.
Parang 4.
Magbutang tag 4 diri. Kaning 4, 3, nga itong ipamutang, gitawag na itong coefficient.
Fishing.
So, karon si hydrogen, kay gibutangan man na itong 4, nahimo na siyang
8.
8. Nahimong 8. Balance na. Nga, kay tapad man po niya si oxygen. Si
May
oxygen,
mong 4 si oxygen.
nahimong 4. Kunya, napag 6 diri. Pila na taon kahak oxygen?
10.
Nahimong 10. Na di
Butangan
balance.
pa ang ay, ma'am, dahil laptop ang kuan, ma'am, no?
Karon,
Kaya mo,
kay
katukuan, nag-7.
7 man lagi tayo sa ma'am.
iba, ganina, gikan 7 siya. Kunya, imo magi times 4 pud ning kuan. Water,
4.
na napod siya oxygen. Sumabag
4 din.
upod ang number ni oxygen. Maapektuhan sad siya. Kay plus man na
Then
sila.
kaning 4 diri ma'am, i-times mo ni diri aning 2 diri sa kuan ma'am.
Ma'am,
Diri
ma'am,
sa
ang buhatan, ma'am, kay ang kaning diri sa reactant, ma'am, butangan og 5 para mahimo na lang din na siyang 10 na oxygen.
Pag ganito, napatagri.
Ay, okay.
Naglibog ka nga nung naabot ang 10.
Dila na ma'am, gi-plus na din mo
Wala
ma'am.
na ma'am, okay na
Okay
ma'am.
na, ma'am.
Diri,
na,
na kay
ma'am.
4 ka, oxygen.
Oxygen,
diba,
tapos
4.
6
Diri,
din
na
na
kay 6.
Man.
So,
6.
plus man na siya, plus. So,
Happy na
pag
kung mag-matter pa ng 7 ba? Okay,
dili na na mag-matter kay mana. 4 plus 6 is equal to 10.
10.
Mo nang na kay 10 diri. Nasabtan.
Sige ma'am, sige ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Si oxygen, wala pa siya na balance. So, kailangan na ito siyang i-balance. Karon,
Times 5.
what's the least common multiple between 2 and 5? Ay, 2 and 5, 2 and 10. Sulti na ako 5. So, butangan siya of 5 degree. So, 5 times 2 is
10.
balance na dili.
Balance.
Diba? Dali ra kay sa nga tanan. Very easy. So, let's
Kaya
go
ka na sa
back.
3
Ha? Ang sa 3 og 7.
It's just cross to the
Wala,
process.
humana na lagi na sila. Humana na lagi na
Brad.
sila.
Ayun pa na
Pag
7 God.
naghatag na kag another coefficient, ayaw na i-mind itong nasa sulod. Kay,
kanang
Uma naman
gawas
itong
ra ka
process.
magkuan.
o mag-mind ka, kanang nasa gawas. So, pahiya atong
Okay.
kaganina. Okay na?
Okay na ma'am.
O balik na ko diri sa atong handout. Okay. So, muna siya meaning ana niya tanan din ha. Tama dira. Next, let's have the next one. The next type of balancing chemical reaction or the next way to balance chemical reaction is through algebraic expression. So first step, write the equation, the same thing. Assign variables in every substance in the equation. Formulate an algebraic expression for each of the element in equation. Take note that the arrow sign will become an equality sign. So pag mulabang ka sa arrow sign, you also labang to the equality sign. Summarize all the variables and then replace. Now let's go back to the hydrogen and chlorine. Diri ko sa whiteboard. Okay, let's erase everything in the whiteboard. Tadaan! Tadaan, tadaan.
Nag-record ka ni ma'am?
I do not know kung nag-record ko.
Nag-record si ma'am. Klaro kayo. Na-read
Recording.
Lagi kay patay.
Oo,
Goy kay ang wala naka-participate. Okay, now let's have the hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas plus chlorine
CL2.
gas yields hydrochloric acid. Okay. Tansya na sa kung agi. Nahilo to pen lang. So, in here, the first step is to write the chemical reaction. So this is our chemical reaction. Second step is to write a variable. So variable meaning these are coefficients or unknown coefficients. So kung mayroon unknown coefficient, we replace it with letters.
We represent it by letter.
Pero kung ato siya i-represent to letters, mag-ABCD na lang ta para madali. So we write here A. Pwede po yung ngalan niya ibutang din ha. Nyuhang kaugalingon nga B. And nung sumula kung B atong eraser, maulog ko na itong B.
Sige, pagkita.
Wala siya balingan, no?
Maulog ta sa B. Saka-saka. B. Bahala ka din ha. Hindi ka gusto mag-B. Nung saan na kung si pasensya A na lang ng letters. C. So A, B, and C. So those are our variables. Next step is to create an expression. So an algebraic expression in each element. So let's start with hydrogen. Where can we find hydrogen? We're running out of time. Where can we find hydrogen? How many hydrogens are there in A? So we have 2 hydrogens in A. Asa pa ta kakitag hydrogen?
Sa C.
Huwag mo labang nataan ninyo.
Ito sa CR.
So kanang arrow,
Equals.
ato ang i-represent as equal. How many hydrogens in C?
1.
C.
So, di naman natin
Equals
sulat ang
C.
1, di ba? Equals C. How about chlorine?
Reactant.
Ha?
2B.
Naa siya sa B. Pila ka book siya sa B?
2.
Sa B, duha. Asa pag yun na to siya makita?
Sa C.
Na, pila siya sa C?
Tiga po.
O di ba si C, kay labang naman siya sa imuhang arrow, so labang siyang equality sign. And then isa ka buok sa C. Next, we will solve for the unknown variables. To solve for the unknown variables, let us assume that
A is 1.
A is equal to 1. So let A equal to 1. So this will become our equation 1. This will become our equation 2. So we will use the value. Kaya wala may laing na letter A dire sa equation 1 raman. So let's have equation 1. Says 2A
Equals to
is
C.
equal to AA.
To what?
Parang 9. To C. So, since we equate A with 1, so we substitute the letter A with
Wait, 1.
number 1 is equal to C. So, 2 times 1 is 2. Therefore, C is equal to 2. Now, we have the value of A and C. We lack the value of B. And wala may laing na B kundi si equation 2. So, let's have equation 2 to solve for B. So, 2B is equal to C. Based on equation 1, C is equal to 2. So, we substitute 2 to the C in equation 2. So, 2B is equal to 2. And to get B, to solve for B, we divide both sides with 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. We do not write 1, so we just write the B. So, B, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So, we have now our summary. A is equal to 1. B is equal to 1. C is equal to
2.
2. Therefore, we write our final equation. Okay, A is 1, so we do not write 1, so we just write directly H2. Plus,
B.
B is also 1, we just write the CL, so we do not write 1. Yields, equality sign. C is 2, so we write 2, H, E, L. Okay. Nasabtan. O, diba dali sa nga tanan? Now, your activity is to balance the second example using the algebraic expression and then post it on the Google Classroom. I will be posting it on the Google Classroom during our time. So our time will be this afternoon around 2 to 3. Of course, 3.
Ma'am, na nila bita. Oh, unsa ni nga module, ma'am?
Ano
Oh, unsa ni
to?
nga lesson? Unsa ni nga
Lesson
lesson?
3. Module 3, lesson
Wala pa
3,
mi sa lesson
balancing.
1, ma'am.
Ha?
Ang post ka niya, ma'am, nag-answer pa man mi sa lesson 1.
Kanilang sa siya una, ha? Tara, oh.
Kaning C3H
Oh, kaning what's more.
H8 plus O2.
Yes, kaning balance is the key. So, direction. Kana siya. Balance
Ma'am,
the
unsa na ID of
equation
password,
using
ma'am?
the
Ana si Ben.
algebraic expression. Then compare it to the example number 2 in the trial and error if they are equal. The same ba ito ang himo nga?
Asa trial and error ito, ma'am? Katong
Unsa
trial
yung meeting idea niyo, ma'am?
dash.
Katong kaniyo. Kani, di ba parehas sila? So, after na sige balance, kung kani siya, the same ba ang product or ang result ng balancing sa iyang pag-balance diri? So, you compare, kay kani yung pag-balance niya diri kay through trial and error. So, that's all for this morning.
So,
Any question?
trial and error man no kay.
Any question? None. So you balance the equation using algebraic expression. After that, compare it here sa atong gihimo nga trial and error if they are the same. So that's all. Goodbye, everyone. Have a nice day. That activity will be from 2 to 3 this afternoon.
Tama na ni, ma'am. Kanin.
Nasa kuan, tara ay, tara. Tara. Kani siya. This is your activity.
Kani lang isa, ma'am?
Oh, page
Kanang what's
20.
more?
Yes, kani
Google
siya.
Classroom
What's
naman.
more.
I-post.
So post it on the Google Classroom.
Pero 2 to 3
I will post it
Magsulat
later.
kami sa paper,
I
ma'am.
will have 2 to 3 this afternoon. Goodbye, everyone.
Ma'am, parehan niya itong kuhan, ma'am. Katong
Magsulat kami sa paper, dayon ang mo picturean.
Maglit-lit.
Oh, yes. Ha?
Katuning maglit-lit, let A, ano ba?
Yes. Katong let
Let
A is equal to 1. We always assume that variable A is equal to 1. Okay? So, goodbye, everyone. Have a nice day. See you later.
Bye-bye.
And do not forget your quiz on DRRR later from 3 to 4. Bye.
Ha?
3 to 4 quiz on DRR.
So, di
Sa
ba,
Google Classroom lang, ma'am.
ma'am, di ba,
Ma'am, sa
pwede
Google
naman
Classroom lang,
na
ma'am.
magabiin
Oo.
makatake.
Ha? Ang sa to, Geraldine?
Pwede ram gabiin mo take og kuan, hinay jud ang internet.
Ako na lang siyang i-control later pag abot og alas 3.
Okay
Ako na lang siyang i-con kay naka-schedule naman gud to siya. So if that would be the case, nga gabi ira okay inyong internet, then Ako na lang siyang
Good luck, ma'am.
i-change.
Okay, ma'am.
Dili mo gud pareha ang internet ma'am na usahay hinay na